In this part, I actually just make the hat for the first part and then the pants for the second. It's gonna move a little bit faster since these parts were actually a bit longer, but there's really not that much to talk about. Like I said before, you press G to move things. You press K to use the cut tool. If you go to object mode and press Ctrl Z, it actually goes back a lot farther. It basically goes back until the last time that you were in object mode, so you can go into edit mode, make as many changes as you want. Then when you go to object mode and Ctrl Z, it reverts all the changes you made while you were in edit mode. And then you Control Shift Z and Control Z over and over again to test out how everything looks. Just see how much progress you've made. I think I do that 1 or 2 times more in these 2 videos, since this part is 2 videos put together, as was last part and probably next part. I haven't made that one yet. Now in this part I'm making the jaw, so I split it down the middle to create the shape, and then I close it. I had to turn off the clipping for the mirror to split it, or it wouldn't let me. Also, as you can see, I made everything else, I hid everything else so I could just concentrate on the jaw. There is a button combination, I think Alt-H, that hides everything you don't have selected. I almost never use it though. I usually just press A to select everything and then press L to deselect what I don't want to hide, and then just hide everything else like that. And here I added a cut in the middle of the head for some reason. I think I just wanted a little more detail in that, but I have a feeling I probably got rid of that later on. It seems odd to leave that there for no real reason. And I'm gonna start making the hat. As usual, I start with a cube. Put the cube into the basic shape I need the hat to be. It's actually a separate object from the rest, but it's still a mirrored object. Mirroring an object really is the way to go. There's really no reason not to mirror something unless it's supposed to be asymmetrical. And even then, you're gonna get a lot further mirroring at least some of it and then applying the mirror. The flapping parts of the hat are just gonna be a one-dimensional. There's gonna be faces, just the one-dimensional parts, two-dimensional. It's not gonna have any depth. Which adds, when you import models like that into Unity that only have one side, Unity pretty much takes care of it. It adds like an artificial front and back. But for the sake of preview, I kept it so that the bottom part was what was visible. So when you look at the model from the top, you really can't see the hat. And here I'm making the back, as usual, just extruding the pieces. In retrospect, I should probably flip the normals of the flapping part of the hats later, since it doesn't make much sense the way it is. But it doesn't really matter. I pressed K to add those lines there again. And K to add all that. I decided not to go that far though. I'm trying to keep these as low poly as possible, so you know, you're probably going to want to avoid going too detailed. Definitely. You need the right amount of detail. Again, looking back at this, I might have put a little too much detail into some parts. The hat right now seems to have a lot of unnecessary edges. It's mostly the texture that's going to end up defining the shape of the object in the end. And right now I added the sharp edges around that part of the hat. And go to object mode and Control Z and Control Shift C to test how it looks with and without it. It doesn't matter if you cut faces in half that much, since Unity is going to cut them all in half anyway, so if you want the extra bit of detail you get from doing that, then go ahead. You usually want the faces to have 4 sides though. But sometimes 3 sides is the way to go. Sometimes. This part's almost done. I'm just fixing up the hat at this point. Making sure it looks good from the bottom. Making sure the head doesn't go through the hat. And Control Z-ing in object mode to see the progress. To see how it looks with the minor changes. This is now the second part. Still working on the hat at this point. Put it in a different place, but now the head's going through it a bit. Just adjusting it to the right area, whitening it, and I think I'm happy with that. It's a little bit off from the model sheet, but you're not looking for it to be perfect. Hell, the model sheet I made isn't at all perfect. Just wanted to get that one done quickly, so it's not the prettiest thing. So it looks like that's the hat almost done. I'll get to the pants soon. Still fixing up that stupid peanut at the top of his hat. Okay, now I get to the pants. I think there, I get to the pants. Apparently, I thought it would be a separate object. Don't remember it that well, but no, it's connected to the regular skeleton part. But I think I'm going to separate it later because the pants can't be mirrored. They're sort of asymmetrical. But at least the first part of making the pants was mirrored. And then the mirror was applied. And then I made the parts that were asymmetrical. Right now I was working on the front and side views, which is why the perspective view was a little off. You can't have that point at the very bottom, so I deleted that one to make it more grid-like there. But before that, start making the legs. And you can see there, I close it in, extrude into the clip, and then use the F key to fill everything in, link the vertices and fill any holes. And here I am extruding to make the legs. Now the feet I extrude outwards and then extrude down using a subdivide to cut the boot in half and make the feet. The model sheet has a heel on the boot, I think. It looks a little blurry from what I'm looking at right now. Yeah, I make a heel and then connect to the back. I shift and then click. After clicking, after you click scale, you can click X, Y, or Z to scale along one of those axes. Same with rotate and grab, you can move it along an axis. And I think Control Z, X, or Y to move it along every other axis that isn't that one, or at least scale across every other axis. And at this point I got rid of the mirror modifier to make the asymmetrical parts of the pants. If you want something to be flat, the best thing you can do is scale along the Z-axis. And there something popped up. I don't remember what exactly I was looking at, but those were Halluris textures. Those were created by Wong. They had to be edited a bit. At least the eyes needed heavy editing. Now I'm making the belt, forget what it's called. Those kinds of Mario pants. One of them is over his shoulder, the other one sort of acts like a tail. Doesn't really move, it just drags along the ground. But in this case it'll be treated like a tail. It'll be stretched along the back and then be controlled through an armature. Be controlled through a few bones, possibly one bone. I'll have to see when I actually make the armature for it. Allora's tail actually only has about 3 bones, but they're made in a really interesting way. Here I duplicated the end of the thing to make the button. The original idea was just to have the button be a texture, but it looks better this way, maybe. Might still change. The model isn't finished at this point yet. And the video's almost done, so that's all I have to say about this.